On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And a love rest in dust, for a world of lost sinners was slain. So I cherish the old rugged cross, till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Oh, the old rugged cross, so despised by the world, as a wondrous attraction for me. For the dear Lamb of God left His glory above to bear it to dark Calvary. So I cherish the old rugged cross, till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. In that old rugged cross, stained with blood so divine, a wondrous beauty I see. For was on that old cross Jesus suffered and died to pardon and sanctify me. So I cherish the old rugged cross, till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. To the old rugged cross I will ever be true, its shame and reproach gladly bear. Oh, then you call me someday to my home far away, where the glory forever I'll share. So I cherish the old rugged cross, till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. So I'll cherish the old rugged cross, till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown.
Good evening. It's an honor to be here at FIBA with you. I look forward to getting to know as many of you as possible over the next couple of days. I've enjoyed the conferences we've enjoyed together in the past. I look forward to the rest of this weekend. When I think back to the times that God has really spoken to my heart, and He's given to me a word that I really needed to hear, oftentimes that word was not a deep or intense theological concept. Oftentimes it wasn't revolutionary. Sometimes when God speaks to my heart, it's in a passage that I've read maybe 10, 15, 20, 100 times. It's on a passage that I've heard preached on countless times, but sometimes God, in a short word, can make that passage alive and speak directly to my heart. And that's what I hope the Lord does with us right now, to each one of us. I came this weekend to speak to the young people. They've graciously given me 15 minutes. And I do want to speak to the young people tonight, right now. But before I do, I'd like to speak to... Am I too close to this mic? Okay. But before I speak to the young people, on the topic that I want to speak on this evening, and as the conference title is Occupy Until I Come, what I want to speak on this evening is Occupy as a Family, serving the Lord as a family until He comes. And so, before I speak to the young people, I'd like to start with the head of the house, you fathers. And I want to say a short word to you. Ephesians chapter 5, you all know, says in verse 25, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, gave Himself for it. It's Ephesians 5:25. I was in California, and a Malayali friend of mine, after we had been discussing husband-wife relationships, he said, Brady, Malayali men are strong. And as I sat back and thought about what that brother said, he was contrasting Malayali men with men at large. And granted, men at large in the Christian circles today would not be considered strong. It's a travesty that they're fickle. With every pressure of the world, they cave in. They're very quick to give authority in their homes to the wives or the children or anyone. And this brother said, Malayali men are strong. The question that I ask him, and I would like to ask each one of you fathers and husbands tonight, is, are you a strong enough leader within your home to lead as Christ led the church? When Christ came and He led the church, when He led each one of us, He led each one of us with so much love. Amen? When Christ came to the church, He gave Himself for her. And Ephesians says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave Himself for her. Are we as men ready to give ourselves for our wives? Do we love them that much? Are we that strong of men? I think oftentimes the easiest way to lead a home, in my own personal experience, I found the easiest way to lead is with a very strong hand. But oftentimes the hardest way to lead my home is as Christ did, laying down my life in love. Men, you have a very high calling before God, each one of you. A calling to create a culture and an atmosphere of love within your homes. When we think of the home, we think of the wife as the one who creates an atmosphere of love, but I say it's the calling of the husband to create that by loving his wife. Men, are we that strong? You ladies, Ephesians also gives you a very high calling before God. As high as the men. Wives, submit to your husbands as the church submits to Christ. Think about that. As the church submits to Christ. When your children look to you as parents, they see a father and a husband who loves. And they see a mother and a wife who submits as the church does to Christ. Now, when the church submits to Christ, she does not do so grudgingly, For his commandments are not grievous to those who love the Lord. She does so joyfully. Wives, when we respect and submit to our husbands, do we do so without grudging, without going into a corner and saying to a friend, oh, he did this and he did this and he did that? What testimony does that give to our children? What a woman needs, and why God says that a man should love the wife, what a woman needs above all things is to be cherished. Husbands, cherish your wives. But what a man needs, wives, above all things within his home is respect. And when you joyfully, happily submit to your husbands, they feel the respect that is entitled and due them in the home, and things are at peace. Women, are you willing to create a culture of respect within your homes? And when your children look at the culture of their home, they see a culture of love and respect. How could they not fall in love with your God? How could they not fall in love with Jesus Christ, who loved and respected each one of us? Now, children, you feel like yours is the hardest of all commandments in Ephesians 5. Children, obey your parents. You feel like they have to love and respect, and that's a little hard, but to obey, it is so hard, my parents. And you children out there, you're looking up on the stage and you're saying, but Brady, you don't know my parents. Many of you feel like my parents are too strict. Many of you feel like, Brady, you don't understand me, they don't understand me, I can't obey. I would tell you, young people, it's not your parents who don't understand you. It's you who don't understand. The old saying says, until you have walked a mile in someone's shoe, how can you judge their actions? Your parents have walked a mile in your shoes. They were children too. But young people, high school, college students, you've never walked a mile in your parents' shoes. You've never come home from a long, hard day's work, put your children in bed and woke up in the middle of the night to a crying baby and sat and rocked that baby all night long to get up after another hour of sleep and go to the office. You've never had to love that way. You don't understand. I'm a father of 3. I've got a 9-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 5-year-old. Children, when you think your parents don't understand you and that that's an excuse to not obey them, you're wrong. Until you have felt the love that a father feels for his children and that a mother feels for their children, even when they don't know how to express it, you cannot have compassion on how hard it is oftentimes to be a parent to you. Parenting is not easy. These two people have shaped you into who you are. Their lives for years have revolved around you, your birthday parties, your school events, your education. If you would stop and think about the sacrifice, young people, that your parents have made so that you could have a quality education and a good life, is it too much for God to ask you young people to honor your parents and to obey them? If you only had a glimpse of the sacrifice your parents have made for you, you would long to honor them. You would long, young people, on a Friday night, rather than going out with that friend you have to go and see, you would want to go and sit with your parents and play Monopoly or whatever game Indian families play on Friday nights. You would want to spend time with them and love them in return for the great love they've invested in your lives. Children, honor your parents. 2 years from now, the friend you have to go and see, you won't know where they are. You won't